Hello everyone, welcome back to the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion playthrough. In this part, we continue working our way through the
No
left
whammies,
side
no
of...
whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies.
You see, I've been saying that phrase for my entire life.
And you never watch the show?
No, I never watched the show. The only, game shows I ever watched growing up were the ones on Nickelodeon, and then there was also
Well, the ones on Nickelodeon
Jeopardy.
were great, so...
Yeah, and then Jeopardy, that's it. Like, if my parents put on Wheel of Fortune, I was out of there, because Wheel of Fortune sucks.
Hollywood Squares is a bit before your time. You watch any Deal or No Deal or
I guess
Millionaire back in those days?
my parents more watched those. I did watch a little bit of Deal or No Deal, but Deal or No Deal is like an entirely skillless game. It is
it's
almost entirely guessing. Yeah. Which I mean makes it a good kind of casino style game, you know, where it's just gambling. Like, and gambling is fun. But, you know, it's just like, oh, I would have picked chest number 13. Why would you have picked chest number 13? Just because I had a feeling. It's like, no, that's not skill based. That's why I also don't really care for.
I forget what mathematical problem it is, but functionally, you are better off statistically changing your choice when given the option to do so.
Even though theoretically, intuitively, it seems like it shouldn't matter.
Yes, because here's the math reason why. So, let's say, for the sake of math, you have 100 doors. You have a 1 in 100 chance of guessing correctly. Now, through the course of the game, you will it down to 1 in 2, and you're still available, and you're still viable, because your door or whatever is still there. Statistically, you are still only 1 in 100 chance right of being correct in the first place. So odds are you did not choose correctly no matter what. So you are mathematically speaking better off swapping your answer on the last choice, because that's actually, technically speaking, more correct than your choice.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a very weird thing to think about, because you're like, well, technically it's 50-50, but technically it's also the same 1 in 100. The answer is yes, but no.
This is why math is bullshit.
Yes.
And why you can lie with numbers so easily, because it's like, technically yes, but also fuck you.
Yeah. It's a weird thing to think about.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, on a game show, you are usually, technically speaking, better off changing your option given the chance to. Not that it'll always happen, but technically speaking, you're better off.
I mean, yes, but also, whenever I was watching that show, I formed some sort of weird loyalty with my case. It's like, it's just a case with the number 6 on it. But it's like, no, but this is my case. And, like, I remember I would talk to my aunt, and she would be like, I'm sticking with the same case all the way to the end. And I'm like, but why?
It's like, statistically speaking, it's most likely to be incorrect, so.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, game shows are kind of not really a thing anymore. I don't know how many people really watch them. It's more like
it's mostly old people at this point. It's old people and kids on summer vacation for Price is Right.
Yeah, or if you're sick, you know, you're sick, yeah. And then Drew Carey and
game shows still have an audience.
Busy.
There are people who just prefer things that are real over things that are fiction, and you know, it's a perfectly valid preference. So for them, game shows might be more enjoyable.
I mean, it's better than reality TV. So at least there's that.
Yeah. I mean, reality TV is just a scripted game show in the end.
Yeah, I mean that is also true. I tend to see more of the nowadays, instead of shows like Jeopardy, although obviously Jeopardy still has an audience because it's like the game show. Generally speaking, when it comes to newer stuff, it's stuff more in the vein of Wipeout that I tend to see people watching versus more traditionally game showy.
Wipeout is basically America's attempt at doing Takeshi's Castle.
Oh, yeah, that's what it sounded like to me. I was wondering if that was correct.
Yeah,
even though MXC was way more funny as a result of the intentionally stupid dub they did, which was like half the reason why it appealed to anyone at all.
Yeah, it's like Japan goes all out with that kind of stuff.
Sometimes, occasionally.
I mean, sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, when they feel risky, but a lot of the time their television is just kind of
A lot of their TV is very daytime talk showy, variety show sort of thing. So
Yeah, and not in the American sense where we're allowed to be sarcastic about shit.
yeah, so if you think it's all like wacky game shows and anime and K-dramas stuff, the answer is no, not really.
Aw. Once again, Japan is way lamer than I thought it was.
Well, part of it is that they really don't like reruns as a concept, which is why they do the variety shows so much, because you can just do something, having a different interview with some local firefighter or this local pop group or whatever every day, and it's technically something different.
If I might recommend a good video on the subject to watch after you're done here, of course, Abroad in Japan did a pretty funny little video during the pandemic about why the guy doesn't really like Japanese television much. And it's basically just shattering all of our weeb perceptions and talking about how television in Japan is actually, like, really lame, actually.
Are you saying that in the real world, Japan is not just what it's like in anime?
Yes.
Every 13-year-old doesn't run out of their house at 8:29, barely making it to school on time with the piece of toast stuck in their mouth?
I don't think you would ever live it down if you did that in real life.
also, everyone's not Joe Turo, where they're a high school kid with the body of a 35-year-old.
Ugh.
I also would have to assume that your life also just doesn't end at 17, and then once you turn 23, you are stuck as grizzled veteran.
I hate that. They did a birthday post for Nanami from Jujutsu Kaisen. It's like, happy birthday, Nanami, born 1990. He's 31. I'm like, God damn it. we're the cynical old guys in anime now.
So, like, when it comes to your life ends at 17, there are some serious topics you can spin off of from that joke. But,
anime tends to not go into that very much, yes.
Yes. I mean, some shows or manga actually will touch on the social topics, but you're not likely to see a whole lot of it. There's a reason that a lot of anime characters are still in high school, rather than them using, like, working adults as protagonists a lot of the time. Part of it is relatability. Part of it is just that they kind of want characters who realistically have the time to be dealing with their stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that work hours in Japan are very different than they are.
It's not just work hours.
It's work expectations than anything.
It's more of a work culture kind of thing. Like, you're expected to stay after hours, not even to, like.
You're not allowed to leave before your boss, etc.
It's mostly about keeping up appearances. Like, you're not getting paid for this extra time, but if you stay after hours, you're showing what a team player you are. You see? And if you leave, people are going to think you're not a team player. So
it's also a hierarchy thing where, you stay as long as the boss does, and if the boss is staying till 6:30, you are staying till 6:30 no matter what, and then leaving after them, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter if the boss is taking a nap in their office, but whatever.
So there's a lot of bullshit work culture that goes into it, and there's a lot that could be said about, like, what kind of good it would do for Japanese society for a lot of this shit to change. But
they're trying to legislate a lot of it out because they obviously have a population declining problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like if everybody's working all the time, nobody can stay home and have a healthy family relationship. Kind of.
Yeah, so they're trying to legislate a lot of it out.
I'm thinking about that one meme of the guy, and then it's just like, if I stay extra late, and then he puts on the clown wig, work extra hours, and then he's putting on the makeup, and put everything in to my work, maybe the company will appreciate
me. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just, there's interesting conversations to be had about that. We're somewhat ill-equipped to really go into it because we don't have first-hand experience, but it's a subject.
Yeah, we're not Japanese, so, and it's not like American work culture is something to model off anyway.
There's American work culture is bullshit on its own for different reasons, but
yeah,
like,
yeah, we're also bullshit, just not for the same reasons they are.
Yeah, it's interesting to compare and contrast that stuff, but the short version is there's a reason that Persona games are full of NPCs that are labeled exhausted salaryman and other such things. So anyway, back to Splatoon, which is what we should be really talking about.
Oh, this level's bullshit. If you get hit once or touch any ink on the ground, you die.
Yeah, I remember this. I remember this being one of the harder missions in the game.
This is one of the most infamous ones, I think. It's this one, Girl Power, the Super Boss. There was at least one other that I know people tended to have a lot of trouble with, and if we haven't done it yet, I'm sure I'll remember when we see it.
So,
but this one, it's not that any individual part is hard. It's that it's a marathon, and if you make one mistake, you have to redo a significant amount of stuff.
I saw that item popping up on your screen, and covering up the enemy just there, and I was like, oh god, what if they shot you at that moment?
I actually did touch ink for a fraction of a second earlier in the part, and I was like, oh my god, how did I live?
There's well, I mean, there's the way that the game handles the hitbox of the ink, but also I think you have a very short window of time before the game registers damage, and what this level is about is getting through without registering any damage whatsoever. So
yeah, so I know that the damage in Splatoon, you have 100 health, and the health goes in decimals. So if you're standing on enemy ink, you will go down a point of a 0.1 damage every frame or something like that. So it might be set to if you have 99 health at any point, you instantly die or something like that, maybe. If I'm just guessing at this point, but I must have only touched it for a frame or two, and then got off before the game.
I also wouldn't be surprised if it had a built-in what's called coyote jump for platformers, where you're given a few frames after you fall off of a platform to jump again,
like in Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong's a very extreme example of it, but yes, effectively that's what a lot of platformers do, to give the player a little bit of leeway, because they can't always see what's coming up in front of them.
Donkey Kong's one of the only platformers I can think of where they intend you to do it a lot, is the thing, because it's basically necessary if you want to get all the secrets and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, add Crash Bandicoot 4 to that list now.
When do you have to do it? I know that you can slide jump off edges in Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, you get a massive hang time distance off of ledges.
And Ukulele in the Impossible Lair is another one.
Because that's just Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, because that is just Donkey Kong Country. But they at the very least have the decency to tell you that it exists beforehand. Because I don't know how you... You know what? Actually, I was going to say I don't know how you figure that out as a kid. It might be one of those things they tell you in the instruction manual that I've never read.
You just kind of figure shit out as a kid.
I guess that's true.
It's one of those you kind of, oh, I'm rolling around, I'm pressing the buttons. Oh no, I rolled off a cliff, jump, and then you just kind of see it happen. It's usually back then. It's usually not so clever as they had a tutorial or it's in the manual. It's usually just one of those. It's a thing that exists, and by pressing buttons, you just kind of figure it out.
Well, yeah. Back then, you were kind of expected to figure out mechanical tricks and stuff on your own while playing the game. It was actually part of the experience back in my day. We walked uphill both ways, and we liked it. It's that sort of thing. Nowadays,
it's kind of one of those. I bring up the sequelitis video a little bit. Because the whole, assume you're a dum-dum and you don't know how anything works, and you just kind of sit there and don't press any buttons. It's like, I get the point he's making, but it's also one of those, if you're playing a game, you're pressing buttons to figure shit out. Kind of no matter what. That's
true. I also would really be interested to know if kids in general play more games than maybe we did when we were younger, because when I was a kid,
by more,
I didn't have the money to buy my own games, and so I only got them Christmas and birthday.
So you mean you mean the amount of games rather than the hours spent on games?
That's what I mean, yeah, because
well, it's an important distinction to make. So
yeah, sorry if I wasn't clear, but yeah, because nowadays we have $10 games, so I could see it being more possible that 8-year-olds could have 5 $10 games on their Switch versus just getting the $150 game every year on their birthday. And if you play more individual games, you're not spending as much time on that one singular game learning all of the minutia in it, you know? Because when you only had one game to play, you really learned that one game, which is why you knew all of the different secrets in it and why all that stuff was really...
Well, back then, our $10 games were just the quarters you put into the arcade.
Well,
pretty much. Yeah,
it's not even a matter of that. It's more like because of the way games were constructed and the way they were designed, and the general jump in and figure things out mentality we had. Well, the learning curve for a game usually consisted of popping in a game and then fiddling with the controller to see what everything did because we were too impatient to read the instruction manual in the first place. And and then
you think he's joking, but we're not.
Figuring it out from there. And that was fine because the mechanics in a lot of games back then were really simple and easy enough to figure out.
You run, you jump, you shoot, and you run it right.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like they had instruction manuals, but you didn't really need them to figure out the game. When three-dimensional space was introduced and the number of different moves you could pull off increased, then that sort of just fiddle with the controller mentality sort of became insufficient.
Yeah, imagine trying to find all the moves in a game like Tekken without an instruction manual or the in-game.
Tekken, they didn't include tutorials in the early Tekken games, so you kind of had to figure out the combos yourself, didn't you?
Well, you had the command list, but you had to go into like training and then press the button to look at the command list and stuff. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like, imagine trying to find like all 50 moves a character has naturally, though. That's not gonna happen.